You are live. Hello, everybody. It's Monday. Happy Monday to you. I hope you've had a good day today. So, it's Monday. It's 8 o'clock. That means we have a special guest in the Thrive Hive. So this evening we have got Rachael Barker, who some of you may be familiar with already because she has attended a number of our connection and meditation and support sessions, and she's led a couple of meditations with us there. And that's what we're going to talk about today, meditation, but also counselling and psychotherapy, because she is training in that discipline. So, if you have any questions or comments as we go through, then just put them in the comments box. If you haven't already done so, you can go to that link there so that your name pops up and we know who it is that's commenting, or you can remain anonymous, that's fine. Or just say who you are if you want us to know who it is that's commenting. And what else do I need to tell you about? Oh, yes, we've got some courses coming up. So if you'd like to do a half-day course, I've clicked on the wrong link there. If you'd like to do a half-day mental health aware course, really good introduction. It's only 75 squid. And if you are a subscriber to the Hive, then you can get a special discount. So come along to that, Monday the 1st of June, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And I haven't done a banner for this yet, but there's a 2-day course that I'm doing. We're now allowed to do those online as of next month as well. So the full mental health first aider qualification, 8th and 9th of June, that's a Monday, Tuesday. And if you'd like to become a mental health first aider, then have a check on my website, pathlight.org.uk, or have a look at the Pathlight Facebook page. I think I've done a link on the Hive as well, pretty sure I have. Or just send me a message if you want to know some more about it. It's dead good. You can learn to spot the signs of mental ill health. You can learn how to support people, how to start a conversation, and how to keep yourself safe. And really empowering course. And that's where I met Rachael, funnily enough. She came along to one of my courses back in the days when we were allowed to be face-to-face on these things. So I will stop doing sales stuff now, and I will bring Rachael in. Here we go.
Hello. Hi.
Yeah. So, we met doing mental health first aid, didn't we?
We did indeed.
When was that? Was that around about January?
October. Was it not October?
Was it last year? Gosh, doesn't time fly? Wow. Yes. So perhaps you'd like to introduce yourself, Rachael. Say a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm Rachael Barker, and I am currently a student at Salford University, training in person-centred counselling and psychotherapy. And I'm a qualified meditation teacher, and I support a number of supportive groups at the moment, doing some meditations on Zoom. And I do some volunteer befriending and mentoring for people with mental health issues. And I'm a single mum of a 12-year-old daughter and live in the High Peak.
In lovely Derbyshire.
Absolutely. Beautiful Derby.
Yeah, good stuff. So yes, thank you very much for coming on to share your time and expertise with us. We've got Kath. Hello, Kath. And Mark. Hello, Mark. Good to have you here with us. If anyone has any questions, just pop them in the comments box. So 2 questions, Rachael, that I'm trying to ask everyone who comes in to the Hive now. So question number 1, how are you getting along with lockdown at the moment?
Well, it's really good. I'm enjoying the majority of the time. I'm not calling it lockdown. I'm calling it time at home. I'm calling it a bit like maternity leave, but my daughter's 12. I'm looking at it as much as I can positively, because I'm keeping myself busy. I'm having quality time with my daughter. I'm getting out in the fresh air. I'm appreciating things even more than I did before, and I'm quite appreciative of things because I'm quite mindful in the way I live my life. But, you get the odd wobbly days, and I think, it's a bit like the ocean. You have your nice waves that you can cope with, and occasionally you'll get a bit of a swell and think, ooh, today's not so good, but, chocolate helps. But
Very
all in
good.
all, not too bad, Paul. I say, we all have our ups and downs, and some days are a bit of a not so good day, but you get through it, and then the next day is another day, and you start again. But the majority of the time, I'm making the most of it. I'm very grateful for the time I've got. So.
Sounds like a really positive and mindful approach to it, Rachel, and like you say, coasting with the waves as they come along. And, I like the way that you're not calling it lockdown as well, because that's the language we use can be really influential on our mindset, can't it?
Very much so, yeah. And I was reading something about that quite recently, actually, because I don't think we're aware of how much our words influence not only what other people hear us saying and their interpretation, but ourselves as well. And part of trying to be mindful and living in the now and being positive is kind of having a good talking about things and how you feel about things now, rather than thinking, oh, this is that. And one of the things that I learned was that people are saying, we're not locked down. We're not locked down. It's just what the media is using. We're actually we're adjusting to a different way of being at the moment. And at the moment, we look for the positives in it, which is the fact that we can eat, we can drink, we can sleep, we can get out into the fresh air, we can communicate with people. So, it's just time at home. It's a different time and time at home.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you for that. And yeah, I was thinking about a session that I had a few weeks ago now with Kate Windybank, who's an NLP practitioner, neuro-linguistic programming, and she was talking a lot about how the language you use really affects the way we think about stuff. So yeah, you can watch that back on the YouTube channel or on the Hive if you didn't catch that one. So next question is, what do you love? What are your passions?
My number one passion is my daughter, who is the best thing in the world as far as I'm concerned. And she brings me joy every day. My passions are obviously meditation and learning to be a counsellor. Elephants, horses, and cats and dogs, but elephants and horses particularly. I ride horses avidly, and I used to have a horse, but I lost him a few years ago. And I hopefully one day might get another one if my daughter persuades me. Food, I'm a passionate foodie. I used to be a bit of a cook when I was younger. I've worked in a couple of catering industries, but I still remember to this day making some cakes and lasagnas and things and thinking, this can't be a job because this is just joyous. I can't be being paid for something I love so much. So I do love food. And what else? Exercise. Oh, I'm a 5-year newbie to running and I love it.
Right. So I want to dig a little bit about the elephants and the horses. Why? I know, yeah, I mean, you love animals as I do, but why elephants and horses in particular?
Elephants, I've always had a thing about elephants from being a child. I went to Chester Zoo and actually an elephant's trunk reached over to touch. I touched the elephant's trunk, and that's happened every time I've been to Chester Zoo. There is something about elephants. I think they are the most beautiful, wonderful creatures, and I think there's something about them. They're very, very spiritual, and they never forget, and they're just amazing creatures, and they give me a really lovely feeling of calm. So I have elephants everywhere. I even had a tiny little elephant tattoo done with my daughter's name on, very small on my stomach. But I have elephant pictures. I've got elephants in front of me, I've got elephants behind me. I've got a wall hanging there that's an elephant. And when my daughter's 14, we're going to go to hopefully Sri Lanka or Thailand to a place where you can feed and look after rescue elephants, because obviously with the ivory trade they're killing the parents, aren't they? But to do something that'll make a difference. Horses, I've ridden since I was 9. I love riding. There is a feeling of freedom, and I believe horses are unbelievably spiritual. They are the way they can connect, particularly with people with autism, are amazing. Horses are mirrors. They will mirror you. They literally will mirror your emotions. They're just incredible, and they don't have a voice. They can't say, oh, don't do this, don't do that, but they communicate both with the way they look at you and their physical appearance. Being on a horse and learning to ride in terms of the technical side is very good and very enjoyable, but learning to understand a horse and why it might do this and what might make it feel like that, and having a horse and getting your bond with a horse is incredible. It's incredible. It's non-verbal communication at its best. It's just, I love horses. I'm blessed to live on a working horse farm as well. So we've got 30 odd horses around us every day. So when I'm washing up, I look out the window and I can see the horses in the field next door. So it's lovely. I'm really blessed. So yeah, that's elephants and horses. That gives me such joy.
Yeah, lovely. It sounds like, well, as you said, it's a spiritual connection and a soul connection with those creatures, which I feel we can get with any creature and any living thing, really, including trees and plants. And and I went for a walk last night, and there were sheep and lambs just in the field where I was walking through. And at times, I just stopped, and the lambs were actually coming towards me, and I just kind of crouched down, and they were probably less than 2 meters away from me. So not really social distancing, but I thought, I felt I was connecting with them. They weren't running away. They didn't feel scared. So yeah, it's lovely to have those kind of connections with animals.
Very much so. Love them.
Yes. So Christine's here. Hello. And somebody else, Facebook user. Hello, whoever that is. Good to have you with us. So you are training to be a person-centered counsellor and psychotherapist, and you have your mindfulness and meditation practice, and you're starting out in business there now. So do you want to share a bit, Rachel, around what has led you to this? Because this is kind of a fairly new direction in your life. Do you want to kind of share some of your journey?
Completely new. Yeah. So I mean, in terms of work, most of my life has been in the financial sector and senior management. So I had a 20-year career at a university where I was a senior leader. So I managed a lot of staff and had a £54 million budget. So I was a real, workaholic. And in terms of personally, I grew up with a mother who had mental health problems for me being a child, and I had a younger sister. And, I've dealt with that on and off throughout my life until she took her own life about 9 years ago, which affected me more than I thought it would do at the time, given I was this, very strong, capable leader in business, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't need to sort of talk about it much because I didn't do that fluffy stuff. I laugh at myself now thinking, gosh, I've come on a journey. Anyway, to cut a long story short, work got really, really stressful, and I've always had a very close relationship with my father, very close, given the issues I had with my mum. And he unfortunately got terminal cancer, and I looked after him at home, so I took extended leave from work. And I took the decision during that period, because I knew it would be a really, really difficult thing to go through, to actually, off my own back, find a good counsellor to deal with both pre-grief and sort of post-grief, because I knew it would affect me quite a lot, and I kind of wanted to prepare myself for dealing with it. Little did I know it would bring up all these things from childhood. However, I had a person-centered counsellor. So I went into this counselling session thinking, I want to talk to you, you tell me and fix me, and then I'll go. And it was totally the opposite of that. It was a real journey. It was an amazing, amazing experience. I can honestly say the things she did for me without specifically telling me to do things were just transformed how I've dealt with things. And they've put me on a completely different path in my life that I've chosen to do because it's the right path for me to do, because this is my actual self, which is a big thing to do at, I think I was 48 at the time. And that got me onto the journey of wanting to be a counsellor, because I thought I want to make a difference. And I think inherently as a child, I'd always been a fixer, because as a child, I dealt with my mum's illness and my dad's lack of being able to support her as, right, I'll take charge of my younger sister and I'll sort out my mum's mental health problem, because she had schizophrenia. So you can imagine it was up and down all the time. And I used to think at 40 odd, I'm such a resilient, strong woman because I've been through so much. And actually, yes, I'd been through so much, but I'd not dealt with it. I'd papered over it, because I can't deal with that. It's far too painful. And actually to go through the pain and get to the other side is even stronger. To accept your humanity, to accept yourself, warts and all, is just like the biggest transformation. And I believe that having that person-centered counselling did it for me. And also, I think during my time managing staff, I'd always known I loved people. I was very curious about people, and I always considered myself using my integrity, a very good manager of people. I was not one of these this is the way I want it, blah, blah, blah. I was very much an empowering, encouraging kind of a leader. And I did a coaching qualification, and that was all about bringing out the best in another person, because they know themselves better than you. You can give them instructions about don't go in that door, don't look at that file, or what have you, but they know how to develop themselves. You just need to encourage them. And that's kind of the ethos behind person-centered counselling. It's in terms of it's Carl Rogers from the 1950s, who was like a psychiatrist who went completely off and against all the recommended therapies, where you tell them what to do and you medicate them and do this to make you feel better and do that to make you feel better. And his was completely different. His was humanistic approach, and it was, you're the best person. You know how you feel and you know what's going on with you. If I can be a counsellor to you and give you the right conditions to allow you to be completely yourself, the natural tendency we have as human beings, in fact all living things, to actually be the best we possibly can be brought forward, and you can move on and become the best you possibly can. And it sounds very simplistic, but actually it's just amazing. It really is amazing. So that's the counselling. Meditation and mindfulness, my physical manifestation of, I suppose, my life experiences, and the fact that I'm quite a lot of the time I can be quite an energetic type of person. Occasionally I'll just crash and be quiet. There's anxiety, crippling anxiety sometimes, but panic attacks, massive panic attacks for no reason in places I didn't even know what they were at the time. I just thought, oh my God, I'm dying, I'm having a heart attack. And as I grew up and realised what they were, I tried beta blockers, I tried talking to the doctor, I tried this, I tried that, and it didn't seem to work. And after having person-centered counselling, one of the things that I talked to her about when I want to become a counsellor was self-care and finding something that is good for you. So running's been amazing, because it really makes you feel good, and you can run mindfully because your mind can just block out. And I used to run before meetings because it would help me, but I never found that certain something. The only time I found certain lovely feeling that I thought, God, if I could bottle this, or was when I was having either my hair shampooed or I was having a facial, and for some reason when I was like lying there relaxing, listening to this lovely music, and someone was rubbing my hair or doing a rub on my face, I'd find myself mentally just really relaxing. And I thought, oh God, this is lovely, this. And that's what meditation has done for me. Meditation, 10 minutes meditation, 20 minutes meditation, and living a life that's mindful has given me an inner sense of calm for the majority of the time, which is totally free, totally wonderful, and can be done in so many different ways. It's lovely. It really is lovely. And it's like anything, the more you do it, the more it helps you. It reduces the amygdala, which is, in the center of the brain, which is your fight or flight. And, it really does. It's scientifically proven. They've done MRI scans for how good meditation is. there are so many benefits to meditation, and there's so many things that it can do. And the key to meditation is mindfulness, which is basically you're only ever here in the here and now. The past is the past, it's gone, it's just memories. And the future doesn't exist. So no matter what you might think of the future, it's not here. It doesn't exist. We're only ever in the moment.
Mm.
But that can be extremely empowering and freeing as well, because you can almost undo the constraints. And for me, it was what I've said this before on a different podcast I did. It was saddling my thoughts. It was, here I go again. I'm going down that spiral of what about this? What about that? What if this? What if that? Oh. And then I think, right, okay. I think the analogy with the saddle and horses probably works for me. But it's literally, it's almost like, right, here's all my thoughts. Get that saddle on them and sit on them and just think, here I am. I'm thinking about things that aren't existing. Just go back into the breath and just think about how lovely this cup of tea is. It's so warm. And I can feel myself going now. But I'm really enthusiastic about it. I really am, which is why I set up this business, The Mindful Teo. And, you know, I had a lot of groups and a lot of people who wanted to come along I was going to do meditation sessions in the evening with my music and my gong and everything. And unfortunately, as I paid the deposit in the centre, an adjustment in life happened where we're all at home a lot more. So I thought I'll just post a Facebook page, and I've started doing them for a few Zoom meetings, for a few groups I'm on, and I've actually started doing them one-to-one, which is lovely. I've had some great feedback, some really good feedback, so it's lovely. If I'm bringing a bit of Zen into a couple of people's lives and helping them with anxiety or not being able to sleep or just not feeling relaxed, brilliant.
Great. So it sounds like with the mindfulness and meditation, and also with the counselling and psychotherapy, you're following a passion of something that you found profound benefit from, and just offering that to other people as a gift.
Absolutely. That's absolutely it. And I think it's, you know, it's been a big learning curve in terms of, you know, throughout my career, based on, you know, values that were put on me as a child. It's work hard. You're intelligent, so work hard. Be a man in a man's world, so be tough. And as I went through my career, the value I felt in me as a person was working with other people. It was managing other staff. It was having one-to-one meetings with staff, and they were saying, I want to become a manager, or I want to go into finance, or I want to go into HR. And I say, okay, so tell me about what this is. And I thought, gosh, I'm coaching them. And that's what gave me joy, not balancing a budget, because it's just a spreadsheet and numbers. As much as I can do it, that's just like automatic pilot. And that's what gave me joy, because I'm making a difference. And what I've learned is that I'm not there to fix everybody, because there's a difference between supporting and fixing. And that's been a big learning curve for me. But actually making a difference to people, because if we can make a difference to a small number of people in a small way that enhances them, then that is, and I think that is a brilliant thing that we can do for humanity on this planet. I truly believe that.
Yes, I agree. And, you know, I've had a similar journey myself, working in financial services, which was just a job. And I was just looking at spreadsheets and making a bit more money for a company that already had lots of money. And there was no soul in it. There was no real purpose in it for me. And where I find my purpose is in supporting other people. And again, you know, the journey I've been on around finding counselling, psychotherapy and mindfulness and meditation and lots of other really useful tools for personal development and increasing awareness, being able to offer that to others, and mental health first aid training and stuff like that. It helps, it makes a difference. And if I can make a difference, just one person, that's made my day worthwhile.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. It really does make a difference. And I think, you know, particularly now, and if we do paint a picture of some future, you know, there's going to be a need for more of it, because I think, you know, people are getting the wake-up call now that actually what is important what actually is important. What are the important things?
Mm.
If you can live every day, enjoy whatever you're doing and however you're doing it, that's important. It's not balancing a £54 million spreadsheet and making sure someone can drive a Porsche, although they're nice, but it's just a means of getting you from A to B.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, good stuff. So if I can just track back to what you were saying, Rachel, about the panic attacks, the anxiety that you were feeling, do you have any idea of what was causing those, where they came from at all?
Yeah, I know exactly what caused them. I attempted suicide when I was a teenager, and I took a lot of tablets, and then I regretted what I'd done, and I had a panic attack and got into a state of what's the word?
Hyperarousal? Or...
No, hyper, basically where you just look like running around the lounge screaming. I was in that much of a panic, I went into overdrive. And what should have happened is I should have had my face slapped and said, calm down, but I didn't. So it was only when the ambulance came and took me to hospital and a nurse came and she just went like that, my face. And she went, if you don't calm down, we're not going to sort you out. And it immediately calmed me down. And that was the trigger. So in my late teens and early 20s, when I was working, I used to, for no reason at all, I'd be walking in a supermarket and all these feelings would come back up again. And I think, oh, that thing's happening again. It's a horrible feeling. My heart started racing, and I didn't know what it was. And I eventually found it when I was hairdressing in a magazine, in a woman's section saying, I suffer with anxiety attacks, and this is what happens. And it was like, oh, that's what happens to me. I'm not going mad, and I'm not dying. And so I kind of realised what it was, but just got on with it. I didn't talk to anyone about it. I just thought, well, it isn't anything bad, and it's just something that's, happened to me, and I'll just get through it. And they kind of went like that through my life, came and went. I think the worst one I had was on a plane. And I laugh about it now, but at the time it was terrifying. Mm-hmm. And because it's designed to keep us alive and keep us safe, but unfortunately, because it's like a circle you get into, you can feel the anxiety, and it can link into this, and you immediately, your mind starts going, oh my God, I'm going to get this feeling again, and which brings that feeling again, and you feel like you can't get off the thing. But I learned as I got older, they weren't as bad as they were when I was younger, because I think I was just getting on with life and things. I'd have the odd triggers that would set them off again, but after my mum died, that kind of brought a bit of it back again, and I think almost rather than having panic attacks, I kind of just started to switch off a bit. So I remember some friends were saying I was a bit inconsistent. So I'd make all these arrangements. And then when it came to it, I was thinking, no, I just want to sit in and eat chocolate and watch telly. I don't want to go out. And I thought, oh, I'm being inconsistent. I didn't realise that's probably to do with anxiety and not feeling 100% in myself. But I never told anybody that. Because, it's shame, isn't it? And I think, I can't say this. People are going to think I'm mad. And then I'll be like my mum. Oh, God forbid. So it's all that fear and stuff. But as I've got really older, I've thought, God, I wear my anxiety attack badge. Like, I am absolutely proud to say I suffered from anxiety from being 18. 18-year-old was my first massive panic attack. And the fact that you can say it and how I'm so much calmer now. I've not had one for years. I didn't have any during my dad's illness. I didn't, actually, no, that's a lie. Let me tell the truth. I had one, but that was because we were driving to Christie's Hospital and I was really stressed and worried about him. And I just felt the feelings start to come up again, and I just deep breathed. So it wasn't actually a full-blown attack, but it was the feelings were coming up to say here, and then I became aware of them and I started to deep breathe and go down. But other than that, no.
Mm. So it sounds like you use mindfulness, meditation, breathing techniques, and maybe the counselling as well, has that helped you to manage and be aware of your anxiety symptoms, or is it just the breathing techniques and awareness?
I think it's both. I think it's both, really. I think, you know, I think it's the same as people who are prone to getting dry skin when they wash their hands. It's one of those things, and for some reason something triggers it off. And, you know, if you've never experienced it, you can't really understand it. If you have experienced it, you know, it can be on a scale of, you know, 1 to 1,000, depending on how it impacts on your life. But the great thing is, you know, I've never had to have medication for it. I've literally dealt with it by being mindful, by having counselling, by understanding what the triggers were, and also realising how powerful breathing is and how powerful it is to us. I've said before to somebody else, I practiced mindfulness for the first time without even knowing it when I gave birth to my daughter. I had no idea what I was doing, other than the fact that I didn't make any noise whatsoever, and I went very quiet and into myself. And I remember hearing lots of screaming, thinking, oh gosh, what's going on there? And I subsequently realised that I'd actually I'd hypnobirthed without realising what I was doing, because I literally went into myself and just breathed through it all, to the point where it was almost like I was thinking, should I be making noises? Going, oh, but I wasn't. And you know, and then I had a very calm baby, and the birth was calm, and you know, it was what it was, and the pain was what it was, but I just breathed through it. And I think that was, looking back now, I realised, gosh, that was me being really mindful. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So we've had a comment come through, not sure who this is by, but it says, let's be clear though, it's okay to take meds if you need them. What do you reckon about that?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I was prescribed beta blockers once. I thought almost just having them for me was great, but I never took them. But that's my choice. I don't take paracetamol. I don't, you know, but that's just how I choose. But medication can be fantastic for people. It can just give them that first start to get onto, you know, I'm feeling better about things now. Absolutely, totally agree. It's each to their own, each individual, whatever suits them, however they need to get through. I would never diss anybody and say don't ever take medication, because, you know, I'm not judgmental like that. But for me, it's not the path I chose to go down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, likewise. You know, I think medication can be really useful as something to help people get over a hump, a sticky patch, whatever it is, just to cope. But for me, it doesn't address the underlying issue. And counselling and psychotherapy is something that can address those underlying issues, and maybe sometimes in conjunction with medication or instead of medication, that can really get to the root of the problem and allow you to unlock what's underneath all the difficulties you might be having.
Well, it's really interesting, because it's very difficult sometimes for anybody, I think, but I found it to actually go through dealing with the underlying issues, because it hurts. And I think for me, that's one of the reasons why the person-centered counselling is, I've never experienced a place where I wasn't judged. I was, no matter what I said, whether I cried or laughed or said I'm just talking rubbish, or, you know, because you want people to like you. You don't want to sound stupid or worried, and to have a space where you are not judged in any way, shape or form. You are treated with total and utter unconditional positive regard, no matter what you say. And you have the full empathy of someone who actually is almost walking with you, going through what you're talking about. Was just, I've never had that before, ever. Never experienced that, and it was wonderful. And that's again why I say, you know, that's the kind of person I would like to be for somebody else.
Yeah, it is a gift, and the term reparenting comes up quite a lot in person-centered humanistic psychotherapy and counselling, where people may not have received that kind of unconditional positive regard, that empathy, that compassion, that active listening that really makes you feel heard and accepted for exactly who you are, as you said earlier on, warts and all. So that kind of building up that relationship, and I think probably 80-90% of the healing in humanistic psychotherapy and counselling is the relationship. It is that unconditional positive regard and just being allowed to be exactly who you are without any judgment.
And that was amazing, because, you know, I can remember a sort of like a continuing spiel of, oh God, you know, she's clever, she can do this, she can do that, she'll say that, she's just going to fly through life, she's flying through life. And I remember thinking, I'm drowning inside, but I don't tell anybody. So I'll carry on flying because everyone sees this flying, this, that, and the other person. But actually inside I'm thinking, I feel like I'm drowning. I'm do you know what I mean? And it's to have the space where someone says, tell me how you really feel, how you know, and talk to me, and I can say, oh yeah, I'm fine, da 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 da. And actually, but sometimes I feel this, and then it all comes out, and you're not judged. And it's not someone who knows me and says, oh, you can't do this and you shouldn't do that, or pull your socks up, or get on with it, life's hard for everyone, bugger off. It's like, actually, no, bugger off yourself. It is hard for me, for once.
And what you're saying there, what you were saying earlier, Rachel, about your previous career, where it was, it sounds like you were encouraged, whether it was a parental thing or a corporate thing, to just be a man, suck it up, don't talk about feelings.
Oh yeah, to get on, yeah. To be in senior leadership, you had to wear trousers, and you had, you had to be, be a man, but don't be too much of a man, otherwise you're aggressive. So it's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, it was very difficult. I mean, it really is difficult. With the best will in the world, you go into corporate meetings and comments about your nail varnish, or or your hair, or what you spray, and it's just like, just so inappropriate. I'll come in with my hair straight back and a man's suit on and no makeup on, and just come in very tough. And that doesn't work then, because you're a dyke. It's just ridiculous. It's just so judgmental. So yeah, be a man, be strong, get on with it.
I facilitate
it's men who suffer worse than women. They can do, can't they? Bloody hell.
I think there's a lot of unhelpful messages in society which come from our parents, they come from our tradition, our culture, they come in the corporate environment. And I facilitate a men's group, and something that keeps coming up is this term toxic masculinity, and some people like that term, some people don't. But you could say it's kind of toxic lack of showing feelings, whether you're a man or a woman. It is just that I'm going to be tough, I'm not going to show my emotions. And what kind of effect do you think that has on individuals, if that's how they're expected to be?
Absolutely horrendous. I've dealt with so many situations where so many men are struggling with how they really feel and what they're expected to show. And we had an incident with the loss of someone, and there was 6 guys that worked in the laboratory, and I went down to them and said, if you need anyone to talk to. And one of the guys came and he said, I just need to tell someone. I went to the bin to put some waste in the bin, and I thought that's what whoever would have done. And I started to cry. I'm really sorry. And I was like, why are you saying sorry? Because I don't cry. I'm 63. I don't, but God, I'm feeling his loss. And it's just so hard to just say the words. And it's just, you're being a human being and you're showing your loss. It's really difficult, really difficult.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of negatives around pushing emotions down, and this is something that's been very present in my life, certainly recently, where if feelings are pushed down, they don't go away.
No,
they're just, they're stored. The body keeps the score. It's stored in there, and they are going to come out at some stage. And I'm a great advocate for just saying, get them out there. Say how you're feeling. Talk about it. Don't feel that shame. Don't feel the stigma, and just be yourself.
It is. It's very difficult because you feel so exposed and vulnerable. You know, and I've worked with some frontline people, frontline staff, most recently, and during my time at the university, and it's very, very difficult because you are inherently in an area where you literally cannot. You've got a job to do. You cannot show your vulnerability, and you cannot show your emotions. So you literally push them away and box them off. And years and years and years and years of that, eventually they come out. They really do, and it's you know, and that's just the way it is. But it's how they are then dealt with, and how, you know, you can give someone a space that is totally and utterly non-judgmental, confidential, warm, with empathy, and complete and utter unconditional positive regard in how they are feeling and how they've dealt with things.
Yeah. And that's it, isn't it? That's the relationship, and it'll take some time to build up between the counsellor and the client so that they do feel safe and able to access their emotions and express them in an authentic and congruent way. But in doing that, it can be so releasing, can't it, for the client?
Yeah, very much so. Very, very much so. And it's a journey as well. I mean, we're all on a journey, you know, and part of your journey will be a journey with a counsellor or someone who's supporting you. But then your journey carries on. It's just, as a human being, you're more congruent with yourself. You're more aware of, actually, this is me, and I do have X or I do feel Y, but that's okay.
Yeah. And it's okay not to be okay, as you've been saying to me quite a lot recently.
Yeah. It's okay not to be okay. It's human.
Mm-hmm. So, counselling and psychotherapy is what you're studying at the moment. For those that are not aware, how would you define the difference between counselling and psychotherapy, or would you say that they're kind of interchangeable terms?
I think, well, the person-centered counselling I'm doing is basically based on working in the here and now and giving somebody the Carl Rogers version of person-centered counselling is that every living thing is inherently born with this innate system of us becoming the best we possibly can given the situation we're in. The analogy he used is potatoes, where he had potatoes that were just kept in a room with no soil, no water, no sunlight. And even in those dire circumstances, they still tried their best to root and grow, because in every living thing is that inherent want and need to just be the best we possibly can. And in life, obviously, all these things affect us. Conditions of worth, you know, we get interjects, we basically get told, you can't be that, you've got to be this. If you want affection, you do this, blah, 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 blah. And that affects how we develop as a human being. And instead of being our authentic self, which is kind of what it's all about, we're actually this non-authentic self, because it's based on where we, for whatever reason, find our worth and value in our needs as a human being living our lives. And person-centered counselling is the opportunity when someone thinks, you know, I can't carry on like this. It's affecting me physically. It's affecting this, for whatever reason, that they've decided or they've been directed to have person-centered counselling, where they will be in a space with someone who will support them, give them unconditional positive regard and empathy, and basically go on a journey with them through their emotions and feelings to get to the true root of the problem about themselves and who they really are. I think the difference in terms of psychotherapy is psychotherapy goes into the childhood, goes into the things that we've learned and the way we deal with things as a child. That's my understanding. And I think when you become a counsellor, you can become an integrative type, you know what I mean, where you use different modalities like CBT, etc., and things like that, which can be helpful. because don't get me wrong, there will be people who need CBT, there will be people who need, for whatever reason. But my main focus is on person-centered counselling.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, horses for courses, and it really depends where you want to go, what the issue is, and if you're going to your GP saying that you're feeling depressed, anxious, whatever it is, quite often you'll get 6 sessions with a counsellor, and more often than not it will be CBT, which is okay. My take on psychotherapy is that it's a depth process, and yeah, quite often it has its roots in childhood. Most issues have their roots in childhood, I would suggest. So going into long-term psychotherapy allows not only the relationship to develop, which is very crucial in the person-centered way of being, but also that time for the trust and empathy to develop, and then really going down when the client's ready, going back into childhood, looking at all of that stuff and using whatever techniques and tools are suitable to address those. Yeah. Okay. So, so we've got a couple of questions around bipolar. Are you familiar with bipolar disorder?
Yeah. It used to be manic depression, they used to call it, didn't they?
That's right. Yeah. So, question is, where do you guys stand on the idea that some conditions are down to brain chemistry and require medication? Absolutely believe therapy is also very useful in tandem with medication. So yeah, with bipolar, what do you think? Do you think it is potentially all down to brain chemistry and therefore requires medication, or do you think it's something that therapy can address?
I think it's basically on a case-by-case situation. I think there are some cases where, in order for somebody to function on a day-to-day basis in their life, if they have extreme bipolar, and I have friends who've got this, they're on medication. For them, they can't function, and they're certainly not ready to delve into any issues that might have triggered this. I was told, my mum was diagnosed first with manic depression, they called it at the time. But actually, they think it developed into schizophrenia. And they kind of said, it's probably just something she's born with. I had a kind of an understanding of the things she'd experienced as a child as well. So I think, yes, there is probably a chemical imbalance there, but I don't think she was born with it. I think something's made it go, the experience she went through. But, I think if somebody, if someone says, if you wear banana peels on your feet and eat half a piece of coal a day, it's going to help you with this, then do it. If that's going to help. If people have how they think a chemical imbalance and drugs can medicate that stop this or stop that happening, and it helps them as a human being live a life, then that's absolutely fine. That's up to them. I do think a lot of the problems we have, and I'm not just talking about schizophrenia, bipolar, but a lot of mental health problems that we have, a lot of it is because we don't have the resources for people to have talking therapies and counselling and psychotherapy. There just isn't enough resource there for people. I have people crying out for support, and they're just on a waiting list for 3 months, and then they just get 6 sessions or 12 sessions if they're very, 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 very lucky, because they can't afford anything else. And I dealt with it firsthand for 40 odd years. It's just so difficult, and I'm not being judgmental on any healthcare system. My God, they do the best they possibly can. But given, hopefully this is a wake-up call that, people need things. People need people. People need support. People need a lot more than a structured have this, tick that box and do that. People need a lot more. People need a holistic approach. People need more. People need a little package of well-being that suits each individual person. And for one person, it might be animals, food, psychotherapy. For another person, it might be medication and exercise. For another person, it might be not drinking alcohol. And, I think each one is a different case-by-case basis. Would never not medication. Would you, Paul?
Well, I go back to what I said before. I think it's very useful for some people, but totally agree with you. It's horses for courses. And for me, medication can either mask symptoms or reduce symptoms, make life manageable for a set period of time. And some people, I know someone who's schizophrenic and has psychosis, and they will be on high strength medication for the rest of their life, just in order to make them get through each day. So for that person, that's what their recovery looks like. And one of these messages that we bang on about in the mental health first aid courses is that recovery is likely and possible from any mental health condition, given the right support and, if possible, early intervention. So with bipolar, again, I agree with you. It's a case-by-case thing. It's whatever works for that person. For some people, they might need some medication either in the short term or even for the rest of their lives. But for others, if they're ready, willing and able and can access talking therapies, I think that's a wonderful thing, because that then allows them to go to the root of the problem. And again, if they're ready, willing and able and can access it, to address that. And whether it is a brain chemistry thing or nature, nurture, is it events that have happened in their lives, I don't think it's black and white. I think it's a combination of stuff. There's a lot of research going on at the moment around epigenetics. So trauma being passed down from generation to generation. So, for example, people whose grandparents were in the First World War or the Second World War, the trauma that they experienced is then passed through the genes onto their child, and from them onto the grandchildren. And it continues like that. So that can manifest in various mental health conditions, including bipolar. And we can, through various energetic healing practices, psychotherapy, body movement, things like 5 rhythms, all of that stuff can be really helpful in releasing that trauma and breaking the chain from generation to generation. So yeah, it can be really painful, as you said earlier, Rachel, to go down that road, but ultimately very rewarding and empowering if you manage to understand and overcome those issues, I feel.
Absolutely. And I think, and it gives you that empathy for people, and you might think you're an empathic person, but it gives you a level of understanding and empathy with people, even more so, because you totally understand what it's like. It is it can be very difficult.
Yeah, I go back to something I said in a previous interview, that therapy is basically 2 souls in a room. 2 souls in a room connecting just on a very honest, open, authentic level. Perhaps not in 6 sessions of CBT, but once you've developed that relationship, great stuff.
On a script, no, definitely not. Yeah, and I think it's funny. It's interesting as well how people's perceptions of judgment as well will make people fear doing some things. It seems to be okay to go to something that's about your well-being, but not about your mental health. Interesting. It's interesting.
It is, yeah. If we've got something physically wrong with us, we'll go to the GP, no problem. If we're suffering with stress, quite often it's okay. There's no stigma saying, I'm really stressed at the moment, I've got all these deadlines at work. But as soon as we start saying anxiety, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, it's, whoa, too much. So,
see that train.
Hopefully that is changing. It's changing slowly.
I think it is changing. I think the stigma is definitely being knocked out.
Yeah. Okay, so you're going to lead a a meditation session for us. But before we do that, is there anything else that you feel that we haven't talked about, Rachel, that would be useful to discuss?
I don't think so. No, I think just we're all as human beings on a journey, and we're just doing the best we can at the time with the resources and tools that we've got. But it is a journey, so
yeah, one step at a time. And like you were saying earlier on with this situation, I'm going to try and stop saying lockdown now. You've inspired me to bin that word.
time.
Yeah. And good days and bad days, good hours and bad hours, and that's all okay.
It absolutely is. It's all the ups and downs of life, and
yeah. Great. Okay. Well, thank you for being so open with your own journey, and also for sharing your expertise on mindfulness, meditation, and counselling and psychotherapy. That's been really good. So hopefully, folks who've submitted questions, we've answered your questions. But if we haven't, send some more. So are you okay to lead us in a meditation now?
Brilliant. Okay. So I always put music on in the background. So nice meditation music for everybody here. Maybe you can hear that. With my bowl, first of all. So I'm going to clear the air with my Tibetan bowl from Tibet. And I love this noise, but the cat doesn't. So I'd like you to just find yourself a comfortable position, whether you're sat down or lying down, with your arms at your side or at your lap, and just relax your shoulders and your neck. And then when you're ready, I'd just like you to close your eyes. And now that you've closed your eyes, I'd like you to take some deep breaths in for 4 and breathe out for 5, following me. So breathe in through the nose and then out through the mouth. So we'll breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4, and then out for 5. And breathe in for 4. And then breathe out for 5. And finally again, if we breathe in for 4, 4, and then breathe out for 5. So I'm going to start with just a relaxing body scan to bring our awareness to our bodies. So I'm going to start with the feet and the ankles. And I just want you to bring your awareness to your feet, and your toes and your ankles. And just be aware of how they feel at the moment. Just think about your muscles and your bones. Just thinking of how they feel. And if you feel any tension, just for this moment, allow this to go. And now bring the attention to the legs, feeling our legs and our muscles and our bones and our skin. And just bring our attention to our legs. You might feel tension or tightness or tingling. And just for this moment, allow any tension to just go. And now we'll bring our attention to our hips and our back and our spine. And just be aware of how our back and our hips and our spine feel. We might be holding on to some tension here. And just be aware of the feeling. And just for this moment, allow that feeling to just go as we relax more. Now we'll bring our attention to the stomach and the chest area and our heart space. And just be aware of how our stomach feels. Might be gurgling, might be quiet. And now our heart and our chest feels, and how we're breathing in and out. Our chest expanding and contracting with every breath. And if we feel any tension or any tightness in our chest or our stomach, just for this moment, allow it to go. And now we move on to our shoulders and our arms and hands. And just be aware of how our shoulders feel, and our arms and our hands. And just allow our shoulders to drop slightly and relax into this moment. And be aware of how our arms and hands feel. And just for this moment, allow any feelings of tightness to just go. And then moving on to our necks and our jaws. Just to be aware of any feelings we have in our neck. Allowing our jaw to just relax slightly. Just let the tongue rest on the roof of the mouth. And allow any tension that we feel in the neck or the jaw just to go. And now finally we'll move on to the head and the scalp and the face and our skull. And just be aware of how our head and our face might feel at the moment. Thinking about our head and our face. And just allow any feelings of tension to just go. And for a nice and calming relaxation, I'd like us to imagine that we're going on a walk. And as we're going on this walk, we're going past a beautiful blue stream. And the water is trickling and bubbling and flowing at our side. And we're looking at this beautiful stream. It's so blue and so clear. And we're watching how it ebbs and flows, and ebbs and flows. And as we walk further on, it gets slightly wider and bigger. And it's beautiful and blue. It feels so calm to look at this beautiful river. And it's flowing beautifully. We can see lots of birds on the other side of the river. And they're all coming down. And they're all going into the river to have a little swim or a little drink. And we can smell the fresh smell of beautiful water. Beautiful blue water bubbling away on this beautiful stream. We can see it flowing and ebbing, and flowing and ebbing. And that's a bit like life flows and ebbs, and flows and ebbs. Never still, continuously flowing and ebbing, like this beautiful blue stream. And this beautiful blue stream is sending out beautiful, beautiful smell. It's like the purest smell of clean blue water. I'd like us to start taking a deep breath in of this beautiful clean smell and blow it out. And notice that as we're breathing in this beautiful blue smell of this beautiful river, and we're blowing out just waste air that we don't need. So we're breathing in beautiful positivity of this beautiful blue river, and we're breathing out any negativity that we just don't need for this moment. Blow it away. And just look at the blueness of the river and how beautiful it looks. And just sit for a moment just thinking how beautiful the ebbing and flowing river is, and how grateful we are to be there looking at it, feeling calm. And now we can take that calm feeling into ourselves and into our hearts and take it with us as we bring our attention back to the room that we're in, and the chair that we're sitting on, or the bed that we're lying on. And we take a moment to wiggle our hands and our feet and bring ourselves back into the room. And then when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes.
Thank you, Rachel. Oh, yes, I have unmuted myself. I was quite happy by the river there. Could have stayed there for a while.
Take that feeling with you tonight.
Yes, good call. Smashing, thank you.
You're welcome. I hope you enjoyed it. Whoever's done it, or whoever watches it, hope you enjoy it.
Yes, thank you. Very peaceful. So a question came to me there to ask you. One final question before we end, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
So you've completely changed your life professionally and personally as well. And now you're doing something that you're very passionate about. Your passion is very clear. You're making a difference. So I wonder if the counselling side and the mindfulness and meditation side are they connected in some way? Do you use them together in some way?
It's twofold, really. The meditation and mindfulness is about my self-care. So it's such an emotive subject, training to be a counsellor, because you have to work on yourself a lot as well. And in order for me to do that, I run and I eat healthily and I meditate and use mindfulness. But it's joyous anyway. I just love meditating. I find it so calming. But I live a mindful life because for me, it's a happy life and a calm life and an enjoyable life. And if I can help people with meditation, wonderful. And if I can suggest in the future that anyone who wants to have some meditation, wonderful. I would say at the moment I do meditation and coaching because I'm not a qualified counsellor, so I wouldn't profess to have the expertise to counsel someone. But I can help and coach and support. But in the future, hopefully, who knows, I might even go down the yoga route, which keeps popping up. It's well-being. It's the well-being. The counselling is the qualification to do what I want to do, the passion. But also, it's about well-being. It's about working with horses. It's about meditation and mindfulness. It's about in the ideal world, it would be a suite of well-being things to do for people, both here and in Spain. That's the ideal world. And I want to live in the ideal world.
Got to have something to aim for.
I will live in the ideal world.
Excellent. Good. Law of attraction and all that.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you once again, Rachel. We've had a couple of comments come in saying thank you very much. That was lovely. So people can find you on Facebook.
Yeah, Mindful Tao. T-A-O.
Yeah.
Mindful
and thank you once again for your expertise and sharing your insight and your personal journey in a very open and authentic way. It was,
thank you for having me.
Very welcome. Thank you. Wonderful. Right. So catch you soon.
Catch you soon. Night.
Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Good stuff, eh? So yeah, hopefully we offered something there that was useful to you guys, and the benefit of Rachel's expertise and experience, and also the lovely meditation at the end there, very peaceful. So I'm feeling really chilled now. I'm not feeling like doing any sales gubbins again, but I'll just give you a quick reminder. We've got a half-day mental health aware course coming up on the 1st of June. Give us a shout or look on the Facebook page or the website pathlight.org.uk if you fancy that. 8th to 9th of June is a 2-day mental health first aid qualification. If you fancy that, it's marvellous. And I'm not being biased, it really is marvellous. And if you would like to share the link to this group with your friends, please do so. The more the merrier. If you know anyone who could benefit from what goes on here, feel free to invite them directly into the group. And what else? Oh yeah, you can subscribe. You can become a subscriber for just £7 a month. I think actually our special offer is, we've perhaps got a couple of days left on the special offer. I think it's 25% off. So have a look on the Hive, and that could save you a few pennies too. Or you can just buy us a coffee for £3 each time you come to a session, or whenever you've had some benefit, or whenever you're feeling flush. Go to buymeacoffee.com/thrivehive, and that's much appreciated to try and make this thing sustainable. Thank you very much. So, Man Tuesday tomorrow, if you're a man and you want to talk and listen about feelings and masculinity and relationships and personal development stuff, or whatever your challenges are in life at the moment, come along to a friendly, empathetic space. Man Tuesday Saddleworth on Facebook. The link is on the Hive as well. And then on Wednesday, we've got Mindful Yoga, which is at 8 o'clock now in the morning. We've changed the time to hopefully suit some more people with Jackie. So that's that. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday, what's left of it, and hopefully catch you soon. Take care. Bye.